here we are in the Vauxhall Mokka 1.4 Turbo. This is obviously the 2012 model, as you know, if you've been watching any of the other videos. And what's it like to drive, you may ask yourself? Surprisingly good, I have to say. This has been quite a revelation when it comes to driving a Vauxhall. The older Vauxhalls, the 2000s, the 1990s kind of Vauxhalls, they didn't have a great reputation, it has to be said. Obviously some of you won't remember any of those, but for the older viewers, they didn't have a great reputation. But the modern Vauxhalls are far more like the Audis, the BMWs, even the Mercedes. They're cathedral quiet. I'm hoping it'll show on this video how quiet it is inside here. Incredibly reliable as well, and super economical. I mean, as I said, this is the 1.4 petrol version with the turbo. It does around about, I think it's 47 to 48 miles per gallon combined. It's got about 138 horsepower as well, so it's no slouch. I mean, along with the turbo that you get with this, when you need to overtake things, it's not going to be hanging about. It'll get you out of trouble. And it doesn't weigh a huge amount either. When you consider it's an SUV, this weighs about 200 kilos more than a Mini Cooper S, an R56, the older Minis. So when you can take that into consideration, the size of this compared to one of those more modern Minis, it's about 200 kilos heavier, which isn't a great deal, is it really, for a huge SUV as well. Cavernous boot space, it'll seat 5 really comfy. This one has all the toys as well, as we've discussed, including cruise control, parking assist, back and front, air conditioning, which is ice cold. It's even got this really weird little thing which I've not noticed on any other car. When you look at the rev counter needle and the speedometer needle as well, it's got the red bar obviously that goes across. At the end of that bar is a red LED light, so you can basically see it really clearly at night. I think that's just a nice little function there that I've not seen on any other cars, if I'm honest. So we're basically taking it out after we've washed it. I haven't polished it, I've touched up a couple of little bits, but we'll get out in a moment and I will show you the bits that I've discovered since I've washed it, because what I tend to do is not what other people do. Generally speaking, when people do stuff on their channels like I do on my channel, they tend to wash the car and find out exactly what they've got before they start. I don't do that. I tend to get on with it, and then right at the end of it I'll wash and polish it and see where we are, because I don't want to start off on a negative, in the respect that as soon as the car comes in, I'm going to go, oh my Christ, look at the state of this, how am I going to deal with this? I'd rather get on with the obvious bits and then see where we are, because you can always polish money into a car in my experience. But sat on the motorway like this, we're doing 2,000 revs, 16 miles an hour. I could put it into cruise control if I wanted to. There's actually a foldable armrest as well, which I'll show you in a minute when we get out. But it is super comfy in here. I can't imagine many other cars being any quieter, any smoother, and certainly not with a 1.4 turbo engine as well. Super reliable, as I said. Parts are super cheap as well. It's a super car, I guess, in that respect. The only thing I would say as a negative, and that is purely a personal choice, is the interior colour scheme. I still don't like the blue dash and the brown kind of trim everywhere, but that's just me. Somebody else might look at that and think, that's it, that's the one for me. I love that colour scheme. If everybody was the same, it would be a boring little world, wouldn't it? The DAB radio as well is a revelation for me. I've not had that in a car before, and that is just superb. The crystal clear sound quality coming out of the stereo in here, which again is a very nice stereo system they put in here, very bassy, lots of mid-range and top end as well. Far more premium than you would expect in a little 1.4 SUV. You don't need to go out and buy yourself a big 2-litre diesel SUV these days. One of these is going to be fine, especially for a young mum, or if you live in a rural area. You could do a lot worse than getting yourself one of these. Price wise, what should you be looking at for one of these? Well, I've looked online and I see these going in this spec with this kind of mileage between £5,000 and £6,000, which I think is where you need to be on one of these. Obviously we didn't pay anywhere near that kind of money. I'll talk to you about the facts and figures in a minute, what we've spent and what we expect to get for it when we park up. But suffice to say, it's a lot less than the 5 or 6 grand retail price for a non-crunched one of these. But when you consider what something like a Q2, Q3 would cost you in the same spec with the same year, it's still a very cheap option, and I really think you should test drive one of these. If you're looking for an SUV, a kind of budget SUV in that respect, I think you should seriously consider the Vauxhall Mokka. Take one for a drive, don't just write them off. Take one for a drive, see what you think about it, get all the toys if you can as well, and see how you feel about it before you start just jumping into a 10 grand Audi or a BMW. Anyway, let's jump out and we'll have a little look around the car and see where we are. There it is, guys, the outside of the car. We've done pretty much everything we need to do. I just think it's a very, very good looking car as well. The way the lines come down at the back here as well gives it that kind of almost coupe kind of look to it. The one thing I think they should have done, which I think would have made things far better, I think they should have gotten rid of these door handles and put them up here like you get on the Seat sometimes. I think that would have made it look just a little bit nicer personally. But, you know, it's just a design thing. Looking around the car, we've still got to polish it, but, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that right now because the weather has turned a little bit in Cornwall and it's probably just going to pee down with the rain anyway. Looking around it after I've washed it, the tyres are still obviously in amazing condition. I think they are absolutely brand new all round, as you can see, so that was a huge bonus because often buying one of these cars at salvage auctions, I tend to budget for new tyres because you can't see what the tyres are doing on the pictures really, so just budget yourself 250 quid extra as a worst case scenario for a set of 4 tyres. That's always a golden rule for me because if you don't have to, great, that goes on top of your profit. It's fantastic. The wheels you can see normally on the pictures when you're buying it at auction, and they are exactly as I thought they would be, in very, very good condition. Tiny little bit of bubbling on 1 or 2 of them, but nothing to worry about. This fuel cap as well, if you'll remember from the first video, there was a scratch right along here as well and all across here. I bought that fuel cap for £6.95 off eBay and then polished out the scratches here. Couldn't do much about these little bits here. Not going to worry about it. It's a 10-year-old car. Try to bear that in mind. And I've managed to polish out most of the scratches on the wing mirrors as well. If we go around to the other side, I did manage to take out pretty much all the scratches on those. Again, refer back to the original video. One thing I didn't really notice on the original video when the car turned up was all these little weird marks down here. I can only assume that was accident related because they're almost like stone chips, where you wouldn't get stone chips really at the side of a car. Again, I'm not going to worry about that. I could replace that door. It would cost me about 150 quid to get a door in colour, a couple of bolts on the hinges there, whack it back in, it would be perfect. It would probably be cheaper to get a new door, or a used second-hand door as it were, in colour than it would be to fix that. At the moment, it's not wearing me enough. I'm going to explain it to any potential buyer, so I'm just going to leave it. The other thing is the scuffs on the bumper. I was hoping I could do something about that, but again, I'm not going to worry about it because it is a big SUV. People expect to see a couple of scuffs on the rubber bumpers. You know, it is what it is in that respect. I painted the back scuttle here as well because, again, if you refer back to the original video, that was a little bit battered and bruised, so I've done what I can with that. And obviously that's the new tailgate. I managed to find that for, believe it or not, 50 quid off eBay. Now, it wasn't actually 50 quid, it was 75 quid, but when it arrived, it had these tiny little scratches just down here. I've done what I can with that. I've polished out most of them, but there's still a couple there. But again, being a big SUV, you would expect to see a couple of little marks. The guy kindly gave me 25 quid off because of that, so it was 50 quid for the tailgate. Okay, I had to spend 50 quid to get it here, but, you know, the tailgate itself was 50 quid. So basically, we fixed this car for 50 quid. Unbelievable. If you look around this car now and take a good look at the quality of it, the stance of the car as it were, the mileage, the spec, the residual damage that's on there, little scuffs, age-related damage, and you think to yourself, well, okay, how much did you pay for this, Dan? I paid £2,114 for this car to my door, including all fees and all taxes and delivery. I think you'll agree that is one of the better bargains I've had. £2,114, and it's done 85,000 miles. It's chain driven, 1.4 turbo, one owner as well. I forgot to mention that it's a one owner car. It's been impeccably looked after, full service history at Vauxhall in a stamped book, because we also got all the service pack with this as well, highly unusual, and that shows that it was last serviced about 10 months ago at Vauxhall, as every other stamp is. So I think you'll agree, £2,114 for this is a steal. 50 quid on the tailgate, so call it 100 quid with the delivery of the tailgate. So 2,225 quid for argument's sake. Back on the road. £2,225 for a 2012 Vauxhall Mokka with 85,000 miles back on the road. It's got to be one of the best buys I've ever had. As I said, you will be paying somewhere between £5,000 and £6,000 for one of these, non-crashed obviously, in the same spec, in the same kind of condition. I think this has got to be worth £3,500 all day long, so that's where I'm going to put it. Bang on £3,500, see where we go. If I took £2,995 for it, I'd still call it a win, because it's still £600-700 quid in my pocket, isn't it? Which basically is going to help me towards the next project that we've got coming up, which is going to be really, really exciting. We're going to do another van project, another van conversion. But unlike the other van conversions, we are going to basically follow the story right from the beginning. We're going to strip the van. I'm going to show you how to do the carpeting, the lighting, the ceilings, the furniture, the bedding, all that kind of good stuff. I'm in talks now with a few companies who deal with van conversions. They're sending out stuff as we speak. I'm not going to show you the pictures yet, obviously, because it's up and coming. It's going to be a few weeks away yet. But that is coming to the channel very, very soon. It's probably going to be quite a long-term kind of project, because these things do take a little bit of time. But that, if you're interested in van conversions, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up and a like and a share as well. That always helps. But consider subscribing. We are going to do, as I said, another very exciting camper van conversion, but a budget one. Again, you know, we're not going to go balls out and do a 20 grand one. This is going to be £4,000 to £5,000, but you'll be amazed how we get on with this. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really chuffed that we're going to do another one. Anyway, as I said, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. Some comments in the comment section as well, guys. Love to see your comments. Really, really good to see you guys interact with the videos if you can. Check out the Instagram and Facebook pages as well, because there will be sneak peeks on the van project there as we go along. There's always stuff uploaded there way before it comes onto YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and follow me on Facebook as well. We've got a dedicated page, Budget Cars and Bikes, on Facebook and Instagram. The links are in the banner for this video as well, or in the description. I'll probably put them there as well. But that is it for this one. This has been the 2012 Vauxhall Mokka, which cost us £2,225 to put back on the not to put back on the road, but as it is back on the road, I think that you'll agree that is a bargain. And we're off. That's it for this one now. I'm going to go off now and start ordering some more parts for the new project van that we've got coming up, and we will catch up again in a couple of weeks. If this has been of any help to you at all, if you like this kind of content, as I said, give the video a thumbs up, a like and a share. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, guys, we'll catch up soon. Take care now. Thanks for watching.